An interesting twist in the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively case, in that Justin Baldoni's lawsuit revealed that there were some missing texts in the New York Times article that Blake Lively's story, she was attempting to rewrite history.
Justin Baldoni sued against the New York Times. It is an 87-page complaint.
Every single text message that exists out there, put them on a website for the world to see.
Meaning there were many things that were omitted from the article that makes it feel as if Justin is the big bad wolf.
You know, Justin Baldoni from the get-go said, I don't want to do anything negative toward her. I don't want to hurt her.
Where Blake Lively may actually be the one that's not telling the whole truth. So Justin Baldoni and his PR team filed a shocking lawsuit against the New York Times on New Year's Eve.
Justin Baldoni sues the New York Times for $250 million over the outlet's Blake Lively harassment story.
In response to Blake Lively's complaint about a smear campaign following the premiere of the popular movie It Ends With Us. Baldoni and his team offered evidence of missing texts that were omitted from the star's initial CDR.
Baldoni's lawsuit calling the article rife with inaccuracies, misrepresentations, and omissions.
Now, this complaint obtained by Variety claims that the Times reporters overlooked text messages indicating that Lively's team may have been waging its own PR war against Baldoni. Interesting, because it made, obviously Lively's team is claiming that Baldoni and his PR team really wanted to taint her reputation, and it was all about, you know, burying her, and, you know, the famous text about they can bury anyone. Now, Lively's publicist Leslie Sloan of Vision PR, once backed by Harvey Weinstein, seeded stories critical of Baldoni, including that Baldoni was a sexual predator in the film's release. So this is interesting. You know, anytime, the media can always tell the narrative and the story that it wants to tell. And, you know, Blake Lively's team is basically accusing Baldoni's team of wanting to ruin her reputation and intentionally, you know, making her out to be the bad guy, where Baldoni's lawsuit, although it's against the New York Times, is claiming that they're not the bad guy, and it's actually Blake Lively that is making up all of these stories, that she's difficult to work with, that she basically just wanted to take over the entire film, take control of all the creative, part of it, including the editing, and basically had, Justin and his whole family watching the premiere in the basement, right? So it's really messy. Talk about a bad breakup. We talk about working relationships. Like, this is a work wife and work husband situation that is burning up in flames. I mean, the horse is dead here, okay? Now, the New York Times contributed to a narrative that Baldoni's PR agency, the Agency Group, which consists of Melissa Nathan and Jen Abel, they were planning stories not in favor of Lively. Now, attorney Brian Friedman, who filed the lawsuit on behalf of the plaintiffs, told Variety the newspaper cowered to the wants and whims of two powerful, untouchable Hollywood elites, disregarding journalistic practices and ethics once befitting of the revered publication, using, doctored and manipulated text, carefully manipulated text, to intentionally omit the text that dispute that, or basically poke holes in that narrative. Now, there's all kinds of evidence and, documents showing, who said what, and texts to begin with are challenging to interpret. But this is certainly a really messy situation. I can't imagine what the set was like and what the atmosphere was like working on this film. And then, of course, during the entire PR and its release over the summer, we all know that Blake Lively was criticized quite badly based on her own lack of effort, or her what was deemed lack of sensitivity to the entire intent of the film itself, which was to highlight the serious subject matter of domestic violence, amongst, and women who are abused, and the real, lesson within the film. So it just is a really, really ugly, messy situation. The New York Times article showed the complaint that Nathan allegedly shared a link to this article with Abel, and the text exchange only showed Abel responding, "Wow," followed by, "You really outdid yourself with this one." And then Nathan replied, "That's why you hired me, right? I'm the best." So it's really ugly. What I do know is that between Lively and Justin, what once was a relationship based, again, on praise, Baldoni praised Lively's participation and talked about how wonderful her creative output was, how great it was to have her included in this film. There didn't seem to be very many tensions, but one example of such omission was that one of her complaints in her harassment lawsuit against Baldoni was that he would enter her trailer while she's breastfeeding or unannounced and she's not fully clothed. And then one of the texts, you can see an exchange where she's like, "I'm in my trailer, breastfeeding my child, come on over." And he's like, "I'm gonna have lunch or whatever, and then I'll head over there later." So why was that omitted? They're basically saying, you're accusing me of going into your trailer while you're breastfeeding. Meanwhile, there's a text here saying that you invited me and you told me what you were doing and that I was welcome to go there. So it's hard to believe who's right in this situation. Now, it is not a small amount. They're suing the publication New York Times for $100 million. And I think part of that is because Baldoni post-harassment charges, or the, Blake Lively's filing of Baldoni, he ended up getting dropped by his agency, his talent agency, which she is still represented by. Okay, so this has had a real impact for Justin, where Justin's team is saying, look, you're just trying to create a narrative or deflect the negative press from you because you decided to make it about, what fashion you should wear to the premiere and not really talk about the purpose of the film, the gravity of the film, the important subject matter of the film. So again, it's like a nasty work relationship unfolding in front of everybody. There was complaints that Baldoni was actually, or members of the cast and crew were showing her pornographic or inappropriate videos of naked women, when what I heard from this particular Stylecaster article is that the video that was being shown to Blake Lively was of a woman giving birth. Okay, a woman giving birth. I don't know who's telling the truth here. Why would Lively consider a woman giving birth as pornographic material? And then all this reference about, Justin and his past in conquests with women and his inappropriate conversations about his former, porn addiction. She said she doesn't want to hear anything about that. That really wasn't covered in Baldoni's side against the New York Times, but they came with receipts, okay? There are plenty of receipts here that there was no intentional smear campaign. They provided evidence that, if anything, they were supportive of Blake Lively. They also submitted to the New York Times essentially everything that they could, the dirt on Blake Lively's character, on the difficulty it was to work with her, on her supposed, again, this is all supposed, this is all alleged control over the film, and how she was slowly squeezing Baldoni out, who, by the way, is a producer, a director, and an actor in the film. And you almost can empathize with Baldoni in the way that he was treated post, reading this particular article. So it's kind of crazy. The conversations and texts between Baldoni and Lively's PR team and Baldoni's PR team and everybody else in the middle, man, grab a bag of popcorn. I have no idea who's doing what, but it all sounds like a bunch of CYA on both parts, which is cover your asses. Everybody's covering their own ass. I don't know what to believe. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments below, and let's see as time goes by what the New York Times thinks and eventually what the courts are going to say about this particular dispute.